Hey everyone, and welcome to Read This Now, the weekly webcast where Brad, Gustafson, and I share two books that we love and we think you should read. When, Brad?
Right now, Jen. Right
Right
now.
this minute. That's right. Don't delay. How are you, my friend?
So good. Life is good. How are you is the $1,000,000 question.
People may notice that I'm filming from a new location. This is actually my basement where I am isolating now with on day 7 of having COVID, but I'm feeling better and I'm feeling really fortunate. I'm vaccinated and boosted and have access to good medical care. So I am on the upswing and delighted to be able to talk about books with you today, even from the
Nice.
basement.
And that's how good the books are that we want to share today, because I texted Jen earlier. I'm like, are you sure? Are you sure? Are you okay? And it's like, oh yeah, full speed ahead on these titles. There's no holding them back. So when we say read these right now, we really mean it. We're not going to wait a week to tell you about them.
That's it. Well, why don't you start us off, my friend? What have you been reading?
Okay, so I don't know if you've ever had a book just that glows on your shelf and in your heart, but this is the one, almost like a nightlight, but during the daytime, I see it, I smile, I read it, I smile, and now I get to talk about it and gush about it and smile. It is called Room for Everyone by Naaz. I did a little research, inspired by you, by the way, on researching to make sure I said Naz's name right, and I learned that it also means pride, I think, which is really cool.
How lovely,
story, yeah. So many things I want to say above and beyond the great story and the joy that emanates from the book. When you read it, and I plan to do this as a as a principal read aloud, it has a wonderful cadence, and I'm going to read just a couple pages.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll talk about a couple other things I really like about the book too. So Room for Everyone by Naaz, illustrated by Mercè López. I'm going to show this word before I read it, just because I think it's relevant. Okay. Boy, I got to work on my librarian skills, my book holding skills. Can you see the dollar there?
Yes.
Word or not? Mm-hmm. Okay. There you go. The dollar rumbled and roared, and Musa and Dada were off to the shore to feast on fish at the Friday bazaar by the blue crystal waters of Zanzibar. So are you getting the cadence a little bit?
Yes, I love it.
Okay. It builds and builds, and it's like catchy. Soon after zooming past Zuccolia Street, they saw one old man and a bike with no seat. So the driver honked and pulled to the side and asked, "Dear brother, do you need a ride? It's hotter than peppers out there in the sun. Come in, there's room for everyone." So
I love it. Yes.
You get the gist. I'm going to warp ahead maybe 20 pages, because I was only going to do the beginning, but I can't because there's so much goodness bottled up. So I just skipped 20 or more pages. You ready? And though the dollar was packed from top to bottom and front to back, Musa yelled out, "Come join the fun! We'll make enough room for everyone." So the swimmers with snorkels and tubes and fins wiggled and giggled and wriggled right in. It feels good to read this book, Jen. See what I'm saying?
I can tell. It feels good to hear you reading it.
It is, and I'm just gonna stop there, even though my heart wants to keep reading. It's so fun. This is a picture on the next page of the bus. And I just am showing this because there's so much goodness, so much action, so many different people and things jammed in the dollar that you can only imagine all the fun that I just skipped over in reading. Okay. It is a counting book, but not in an obtuse way. It's just very subtle and fun. It's there. Like I didn't even notice it the first time I read it, which is a little bit surprising. But it's also a book that I love. So I had 3 C words that kind of jumped out at me: cadence, culture, and counting. On the culture front, one thing I love, because a lot of the kiddos I get to work with in our school, I could see them knowing these words just and using them on a regular basis. So I'm kind of becoming the learner on them. In the back, there's a glossary and a couple of the words. And I'm fumbling with the dust jacket. That's a sign I should remove the dust jacket, right, and show us. But like, well, I don't need to go over all the words. Here's what it made me think of, though, in the glossary and just reading the story. so many times I myself, over my 20 plus year career in education, sometimes when I think English language learner, sometimes my mind goes to the skills we still want to teach them, which is can in some ways be a little bit of a deficit model, or at least present barriers to accessing the strengths, the passion, the stories, the
Yes.
culture, the lived experiences, the beauty and the gifts and the family that they come to us with. And books like
Yes.
this just are such a reminder of, duh, Brad, that's there. Don't look beyond that. Like, unearth it, listen, learn, pay attention. And this
Yes.
book did all that for me. So before I do the grand finale thing, here's the dust jacket reveal. It also emanates joy.
Yes. Let's see it.
Gotta make sure I'm centered. There we go.
Oh,
I love just the expressions, the little mannerisms of the illustrations, because you can tell, I mean, I'm telling myself stories about what's happening here. And then on the back, I'm just picturing things are so crowded that, you know, animals are bumping into each other. Anyway, this is a read aloud. I mean, I am a principal, so oftentimes my mind kind of automatically speaks to principals and other teacher leaders and stuff like that. But anyone who does read alouds, I'm telling you, so fun and growth inducing. So for all those reasons, you should read right now Room for Everyone, written by Naaz, illustrated by Mercè López.
I love it. Yay. Thank you. Oh, that makes me super excited for a number of reasons. I have that book, but I haven't read it yet. So it's perfect that it's on my pile, right? So
yep.
I'm excited to go dig it out so that I can read it now. Yay, yay, yay. And also, this will lead into my book talk as well, is that I'm not quite ready to share all the details yet, but I'm doing a project where I'm supporting a kindergarten teacher who is creating a classroom library. And part of that is picture books for great read alouds. And it sounds to me like that might be one for that list. So that is exciting. Yay! Which leads me into my book talk for the week, because that is how I picked this book to share. I've been curating some books for this initial infusion into this teacher's classroom library. And this was one that I read last year but thought of immediately for this project, but then realized I can't believe I didn't share this on Read This Now, because it's such a fun book. So I pulled it out to share, and it is called Bathe the Cat. Do you know this one, Brad?
I do not.
Okay. It's called Bathe the Cat, and it actually kind of has some similarities to the book you shared. It sounds like to me, in a funny way. It's by Alice McGinty and David Roberts. And I'll go ahead and, let me show you the beautiful cover. I'll show you the beautiful cover right here. And then I'll show you the back, which has, once you read the book, that'll make a little bit more sense. But I'll remove the dust jacket and to reveal, I don't know if you can see what's going on in the dust jacket. Okay, we are
that's great.
Another scene, which sort of gives us a clue about the book. And I love Mr. Shu is someone who taught me how to do this with the case covers. Sometimes it really is like a whole spread that you have to see, pull out to see horizontally like that. But this book, I love it for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's sort of I think the illustrations are very nostalgic to me. It reminds me of, even though it never says anything like this, the book could be set at any time whatsoever. As an old lady like myself, they have a very 70s vibe to me for some reason. And I just love it. It looks like the kind of picture book, like the illustrations that I might have seen as a kid. And that just speaks to my heart in a way. But I want to show you the beautiful lino papers. Okay, that'll give us a clue about the book. Do you know, can you recognize what these things are now that you see the picture?
Yeah, right away it reminded me of the magnets I had as a kid.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So with that being said, I'm going to read the first couple of pages. And just like you, it's going to be so hard for me not to read the whole book because I love it so much, right? But I'll show you the pictures in just a minute. It starts with, come on, folks, it's time to clean. Upstairs, downstairs, in between. It's such a mess. If grandma sees, She comes at 2, so hurry, please. And you can see there's this family. You might recognize a house that sort of looks like this. Company's coming. We don't want grandma to see the mess. We got to get it cleaned up. Bobby, mop the floor. Dad will scrub the dishes. I'll vacuum the rug. Sarah, feed the fishes. Dad will mow the lawn and Sarah sweep the mat. Bobby, rock the baby and I'll bathe the cat. Now, here's where something important happens. Look what the cat is thinking down there.
I love that. That's so cool.
Not a fan, right? And what is also important is look at where the family's list of chores is. Okay? They're all watching. The list of chores has gone on the fridge with the magnets. And then, as a kitty cat might do, the cat scrambles all the letters so that the chores start to look very different. And I want to show you one. Now they go to things like mow the floor, rock the dishes, bathe the rug, mop the fishes, scrub the lawn, feed the mat, swing the baby, ignore the cat. All of those things. And so you can imagine then the family tries to do all of the things that the cat is telling them to do, and hilarity ensues. All sorts of chaos and hilarity ensues. So, and what I love about it is, you know, for little kids, it's just so funny. Watching this family try to do things like mow the floor and watching the cat consistently try to trip them up when nothing is getting done is so much fun. But I also think for littles, there's things to be had there in like letter recognition. Do I recognize any of the letters in here? For kids as they're getting a little older, look at all these word scrambles because some of the words in the chores are the same exact letters, but a few letters just get swapped, etc. Lots and lots of fun. But the best part is just following this family through these like misadventures of mowing the vacuum and on bathing the bathtub and et cetera, et cetera. It's super fun. So I think you should read it right now. It's called Bathe the Cat, and it is by Alice McGinty and David Roberts.
Jenn, I am in love with the book you selected. It sounds amazing. The illustrations are incredible. The story, I was picturing doing a read aloud of that book with kiddos in our school and how it'd be fun to bring in magnetic letters and maybe have something prearranged. But then I was also imagining myself as a second grade teacher and doing a writing and art project or something kind of connected to that, where they could change a word with letters, blink the cat, like whop the cat, or just change one letter. Like, we're all doing this to the cat, but you have to change one letter. So then you have to make up what whopping the cat is, or instead of mopping the floor, you know, so many possibilities that are just fun and ridiculous and creative and conversational. Love it.
So much fun. The other thing I really love about this book, and I didn't mention it in my book talk because it's what my friend Lindsay Birkins calls incidental diversity, where you have a diverse, inclusive character set in a story, but it's not the point of the story, right? It's incidental. It's just showing inclusive, diverse families living the same experiences that everybody else does. And this book is very much like this. We have a family with 2 dads. They're all people of color. When grandma comes, she has her own meat flavor. It's just really a beautiful, inclusive story that is about the crazy goofiness that families get into sometimes. And I just am in love with it. And I'm glad that I remembered to share it because it needs to be shared.
Interesting. That word, I'm just reflecting on incidental, and I just wonder how different people might think about that, and maybe embrace it, or maybe even say, oh, that's more than incidental to me. Whatever word they might pick, like, I love that, or that's very meaningful, or so it's interesting. I'm just reflecting on it. I think I understand the spirit.
You know, Lindsay's not here and I can't speak for her, but what I take her terminology to mean is that we have some books where the story is really about how the characters' lives are impacted by their identity and the reaction that other people have to that identity, or how the world is set up to either embrace or not embrace that identity. Some books, the identity is a critical part of the book's plot and story. But
Sure,
for
sure.
other books, the identity is just incidental. It is just included intentionally by the author, but it is not a part of what drives the plot.
Sure.
So the
Yep.
author and illustrator, I'm certain, were very intentional in choosing the characters and the inclusivity that appears in this book. But when we're talking about the plot and the story, it's incidental to that. It could be any family, which I think is I think that's what Lindsay means.
Got it. Makes sense. So I don't compare. I've learned long ago, don't compare to Jenn, because I'll always fall short and walk away with my tail between my legs because you're so inspiring.
Never.
I like partnering with you, but I honestly was kind of thinking here today that I had a home run book.
You did.
And now, sure enough, Jenn, I think I do still have a home run book, but I'm giving you the grand slam because I'm really excited by your book. So
I think it's possible for there to be, in fact, even as someone who's not a sports person, I'm pretty sure it's possible to have 2 home runs and 2 grand slams in the same game. So
well said.
I think
Well
we are both knocked it out of the park. Look at me, all
See,
these
now
sports
you're
metaphors.
even carrying us on sports metaphors. You are just.
I'm going to blame
All
it
right.
on COVID brain. I'm going to blame it on that.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. All right. Well, if you are interested in more grand slams and home run titles, you should definitely go to this incredible curated website of other books Jenn and I have talked about. It's bit.ly/read_this_now. You won't be disappointed.
You will not. Yay! Thank you, Brad. And thank you to our 3.5 viewers. We will see you next week. Happy reading, y'all.